Last but not least, Module 7. I am a big advocate of Tinkerwell. You should definitely buy it if you haven't already. Support Marcel. He's been a great contributor to the Laravel community. And this is a small way of just saying thank you to him. But let me show you now how to get Tinkerwell to work with your Laravel app inside of WSL. I think it's best that I start out by showing you what is the configuration we need. So in order to have Tinkerwell enter into your WSL VM, you would actually need to have this connect by SSH. So if we look at that, we can see some of the information we need. We'll be connecting on port 22. Our username will be our WSL username. We need a SSH key for authentication, along with possibly a password, and we have the directory where we will be entering into the app, and we need a binary file. So let's tackle this now. So the first thing we need is to actually download PHP. So because this is in your Windows, you need to download the Windows version of PHP. So let's take a look here, and yeah, we can just follow the PHP downloads folder, and the other option, which I actually prefer, was the Windows version, which I then suggest you download the non-thread safe or thread safe. I used the thread safe version, and once I downloaded this, let's do it together. So once you download this file, you can open it, and it will then prompt you where to extract it. So for me, I extracted it into a folder on my C drive, and I created a folder called PHP 7.4, and I extracted the executable files into that folder. The next thing that we need to do once we do that is we would need to make sure the path is registered for that PHP folder. So if we go to our environment variables, we would then be able to go in here, and in our path down here in the system variables, we need to add that same PHP folder. So I've done it here, PHP 7.4. So with this, our Tinkerwell app will automatically detect the PHP, so we can actually see that here. So preference, advanced, and here it's detected this. I didn't select any special binary because of the path. It just picked up the latest version of PHP at least at the time of this recording. So now that we have PHP installed and Tinkerwell is associated with it, we now need to do all our SSH configuration. So in order to SSH in, we would first need to have SSH server running. So in order to do that, you would have sudo service SSH start to start up the service. And just to be sure, we need to add it to our ZHRC file, and you can see it down here. We have sudo service SSH start. So we do have that in there. And the next step would be to, we need to actually edit the SSHD config, and we need to turn on some stuff. So if we scroll up here, we will be accessing on port 22. That's fine, so we don't need to undo that. We will need public key authentication, so let's uncomment that, and we will store our authorized keys from the Windows SSH key in the authorized keys folder in our WSL VM. So let's do that and save. And that should be good. In order for us to catch the changes, let's quickly restart the SSH server. And now that we're done with that, let us deploy the SSH public key into the uh, the the folder, so SSH folder. So let me just what we would need is something called putty generator to generate your key. So you click generate, it will make you move your mouse around until the key is generated, and then you are able to save the generated key, the public and private key, to your hard drive. So I've already done this process. So now I will actually load the key, and I had a passphrase, so let me put that in. And here is the public key. So I want to grab that, so I'll just highlight it and copy. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a directory here, an authorized, and I need an authorized keys inside of this. Let's cd in. Let's first, we would need to change the permission to this folder, and let us go in here now. And there's nothing inside, so let's create a file called authorized keys, and let's add in our public key. So just to make sure we have that there, and we also take a look here. We need to change the permissions on this, so so let's do that now. This is a very important step, otherwise it doesn't work. So we change it to 600, and now if we look, we just have restricted the read-write access even further. So now our authorized keys is set. We've set up SSH server, public key authenticate, or SSH public key authentication is enabled. We've specified the folder and put in our key. So the next step is we go into Tinkerwell, and let's create WSL. The host is localhost because it is the same computer after all. Port is 22. My username in WSL is Ashwin Amram. And here I will select my my private key in the Windows side of things. And the public key we've already entered into the authorized keys folder in WSL. Let me put in my passphrase again. And where we're going is home, Ashwin Amram, and we created a code folder in Laravel. So with any luck, we are in. So I don't have anything in the database, but you can see that if I were to do app user first, shouldn't return anything, but we do get that a response, and this is from within the app inside our WSL. If I disconnect and I try it again, we get a query exception because it's not connecting anywhere. So let's go back in, connect to our WSL, connect, and run it, and we get a null response. So I covered a lot of stuff, and just to run it by you again. So the first thing we did was we made sure our PHP version was installed and put into the Windows path, and then it is referenced here. So PHP and Windows is working fine together. Then we use PuTTY to generate a key, SSH key, and stored that on our Windows machine, and then used the public key and went into our SSH folder and created authorized keys file and put the key in there. Remember, the permissions of the authorized keys file is very important. We can't have too high permissions, otherwise it will fail and you won't be able to authenticate. So once we did that, we put in all our credentials. Oh, and of course in our we also went into the config of SSH, and just to remind you again, we turned on public key authentication. We chose the location where we're saving the authorized keys, and that's the only changes we made. So thank you very much. I hope that made sense, and thank you for taking this course. It's been a pleasure. I do plan on adding some more modules as I get some feedback from you and other people that have purchased my course, and I will be sending those out by email when I add them. So looking forward to it. Thank you and have a good one.